Today's episode, we are talking about, oh my god, one of my favorite games. I think I say that every week, but one of my favorite games, Batman Arkham Asylum. And I have possibly the only guest to talk about Arkham Asylum with, and he is one of the nicest dudes and the biggest beards on the seas. It's AsylumGC. How you going today, my friend?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Now I have to ask right at the top, did your name come from this game, or is it like another thing?
No, mate. Look, my nickname was actually born out of... Okay, it was born out of Jackass. I was that guy that used to say, hey, I can do that.
We all said that at one point.
And went and did it. Well, I started to make more of a persona out of it. This is what I did when I was around a group of friends and whatever else. And yes, they started to tell me, mate, you belong in an asylum. And it just stuck from there.
Oh, that's actually really cool. Can you, I've always wanted to ask, what's the GC stand for? Is it anything?
GC8 is a model of car that I used to own.
Okay.
That I absolutely love. It was a Subaru WRX. And I loved it till it could drive no more.
It's like, I'm stopping driving now. Well, that's probably why I didn't know, because I'm not really a car guy, but I am a Jackass guy. And I'm not too sure how old you are, but I think we're in the 30s, right? We're both in the 30s.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we're around the same age, and Jackass, man, that was quite possibly the worst thing to be influenced by as a kid. Especially when they're like, when you're a kid, right? And you're watching them and you're like, oh, you can do that with trolleys? Okay. And back then, sure, you could take a trolley anywhere. Now they're like hard locked to a shopping center, but oh boy, that was dangerous. But hilarious.
The flashbacks already.
But we are going to start the episode with what we have been playing. So Asylum, please surprise us all with what you've been playing this week.
Surprisingly, I've been playing Sea of Thieves, but a little possibly what could be more surprisingly is Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yes, because you've been you've actually been streaming that the past like 3 or so weeks now.
I say yes. We do it on a weekly basis, a community night sort of thing where everyone joins in, and I open cards, and everybody laughs at me because I get excited about them.
Hey, you can get excited about whatever you want, sir. Have you heard or have you dabbled in this whole Happy Meal Pokemon card thing going on?
I'm waiting for the official. It's officially here in Australia sort of thing.
Yeah.
Before I start running out, because let's face it, I've got a 6-year-old daughter, so I've got every excuse under the sun to be getting Happy Meals.
You just take her along. Happy Meals, please. See, daughter. Yes.
See, totally for her. Yep.
Yeah.
Here, you have the food. I've got this.
It's a pretty crazy thing that McDonald's is doing. Like, that's like, because Pokemon cards have been popular since the dawn of man. But like, I feel like in the past, 6 months to a year, especially on like YouTube and Twitch, it's kind of like really blown up, like card openings and stuff, and people are dropping big money.
Like, I think it was the big turning point where if you look at analytics was when everybody's favorite YouTuber Logan Paul decided to crack open a first generation box and auction off a pack to each participants, and he opened them live on stream and did a charity thing around it. However, he spent $220,000 on this box.
Wow.
And then auctioned off each pack. So yeah, then it sort of blew up from there, and here I am being taken with the current wholly and solely.
He got you. At least it was all for charity, right? Like, but
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he literally just bought like $1 million ranch. So $220K for that dude for Pokemon cards, probably not such a big deal.
Yeah, he'd carry that in his wallet.
But yeah, Pokemon is awesome again. I think we've been talking. I absolutely love Sword and Shield. I haven't yet finished it though because I'm useless and there's too many other things to do. I need like another holiday where I can just like sit with my Switch. But it's a really it's a bit of a comeback for me anyway, a bit of a comeback for the Pokemon series, and I'm really excited to see where they go to next.
Yeah. That'd be, yes.
I just want, I don't know, I kind of want an open world Pokemon game, and I'm hoping that it's good, but I don't know. Nintendo could do anything at this point.
Well, they have been saying on many of their YouTube videos and stuff like that the community doesn't want this. Are you listening to your community? We do want this.
They're probably like got their headphones, listening to some like Metallica or something, just like I can't hear anyone.
Yeah.
No one's saying it. They don't want this. I suppose. Yeah, it's classic Nintendo. They do what they want and they're lords about it. I just want to talk about Sea of Thieves with you for a little bit, and also congratulations on Sea of Thieves partner and Twitch partner. I think you got recently last year.
Yes.
Which is awesome. How are you feeling about like the seasons and the plunder pass, and I guess the potential future of the game?
I loved that everybody started up. Well, not everybody. A very broad slice of the community started a whole track of you're copying Fortnite when it came to seasons, and the greatest thing I loved about the rest of the community as well as the devs, they just shrugged.
Yeah.
What, you think copying things off games is a new thing?
What, you think Fortnite never copied anyone else?
Yeah, Arma 3. But it's been broadly well received, which is a good thing. There's only, I can count on one hand the amount of trolls who come into my channel and tell me that it's a bad idea. Because they tend to leave very quickly after you say, okay, well, what's your groundbreaking idea?
Yep.
They go quiet and leave very, very quickly. Not sure why. But yeah, it's been broadly really well received. It's it's going quickly for a lot of people who play a lot of Sea of Thieves. You're getting to renown level 100 very rapidly. But if they're going to bring in a season 2, yes, my God, yes, please do it.
Oh, 100%. So here's my hot take of seasons.
Shoot.
I was very okay. I'll go with seasons first. I like the idea of seasons. I think it's inevitable for a game like this. Like a lot of games doing Fortnite, Rocket, like everyone's doing kind of seasons, and it's cool. It keeps you interested. My problem with Sea of Thieves, and it's kind of been like a niggling problem for the past 6 months, is I feel like a lot of their newer stuff is aimed at newer players or casual players, where a player like myself who's done everything and has almost everything, there's nothing new for me to do besides, say, like PvP, which I love, but when there's no PvP, I'm kind of sailing around, with my hand on my peen, but also this is not a kids show. So I'm just sort of waiting for that next, like, Fort of the Damned, or that next that next big thing where it's like, oh, this changes the world and the gameplay. That's kind of what I'm waiting for, and I'm hoping, with season 2 or in the future with something, that they add something like that meaty that they haven't done in a while.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Look, one of the things that many, I hate using this term, but I'm going to use it just in the context, bigger Sea of Thieves streamers have said is the biggest turning point for the game in bringing the new and the seasoned in together in the middle was actually Emissaries.
Emissaries was a good update. I should have mentioned that too. It was a great update.
Yeah, that sort of changed, in parentheses, the face of where everybody's running with what they're doing. Yeah. And something else like that, I'll gladly take that. I'll have another one of those.
Yeah, I guess, Emissaries and, like, say, like a Fort of the Damned, when they added that in, just something like that. And I know, like, they did the new merchant voyage, which, as I said, for newer players and people trying to grind that merchant, it's a fantastic voyage, because no one liked doing merchant stuff. I would have avoided that at all costs. But yeah, just for people like myself, where I just want a new big thing, and I'm hoping it'll come soon.
I've got all 10 crossed as well.
Yeah, but also the Plunder Pass. Plunder Pass is pretty good. I'm upset that it's got stuff. The paid Plunder Pass, it's got stuff I already own. And I was like, oh man. So I get nothing for it, but the Warsmith weapons are cool, so it's kind of worth it. So I was really harsh on the Plunder Pass at the start. I've come around to it, and I understand what they're doing, and I'm probably still going to play it because there is literally no game like this. You cannot get this experience anywhere else.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Which is awesome. But I think it's different for everyone. You know what I mean? Like, some people are very PvP focused, some people are PvE focused. I think what me and my friends are doing at the moment is just doing some PvE, and then if there's another ship, then we'll check it out or suss it out and see what happens. Instead of, we used to try and find PvP, but that's when you just get like bored and upset, and yeah, it's no fun doing that.
No, I can appreciate that. No, I always work on we've got our stuff to do, you've got your stuff to do, but if we cross over and hands are thrown, then definitely I'm throwing back.
I'm ready. I love it when someone fights back though. I'm like,
I have cannonballs.
Just get PvP'd. Also want to talk a little bit about I just finished Hitman 3 this week. It is a fantastic. Have you played Hitman 3 or any of the recent Hitmen?
I haven't played it. I have been watching an extensive amount of streams that include it though. So yeah, I've got the feel. I know what's going on with it, and oh boy. Oh, I like it.
It's so fun. I feel like just a murderous badass. Like, you just feel so cool, and it's a nice quick game. I finished it in 8 or 9 hours or so, and I like games like that. Like, people are like, it's too short, but I'm like, nah. I have other things to do, other games to play. I have a full-time job. I have a family. Like, I just give you that nice quick experience, and it was really awesome. And I recommend it, even if you haven't played the first two. It's still a great game to play. You don't really have to know what's going on.
Yeah. And the flexibility they've put a little bit more flexibility into what is essentially a rail. Like, I don't know if you saw the article. There was a gentleman who went on a spree of knocking out and picking up every NPC in one area and putting them into the juicer, I believe it was. Like, every one of them, he scooped up an obscene amount of people, filled this juicer, and then just turned it on.
Oh my! was it a wine press or something?
Wine press, that's the one. Sorry,
I pushed someone in there. I was like, oh, this person's not going to enjoy their wine today.
No. Well, yeah, this guy went and found every NPC in the level and threw them all in.
What commitment? Because there's a lot of people on that level. Oh, I've been watching a few speed runs lately as well.
Yep.
And man, people are monsters. Like, I know you can unlock a lot of things as you play on. So they've unlocked all the costumes, the starting areas, the weapons, so they know exactly where to start, what to have, and all that. But it's so cool. It's so cool watching speed runs of this game. But I need to put everyone in that goddamn wine press now, and that's brutal.
It sounds sadistic. I'm in.
It's so good. But this is not the murder wine podcast. This is a video game podcast, and we are going to move on and talk about Batman Arkham Asylum. So Batman Arkham Asylum is a third-person action-adventure game developed by Rocksteady Studios and published by Eidos. I had to look how it was pronounced because it's a weird word and we're Australian. And Warner Brothers Interactive. It was released on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on August 25th, 2009 in North America, August 28th, 2009 in Europe, and September 3rd, 2009 in Australia. And it was later released on Windows on September 15th, 2009. So, Mr. Asylum, I mean, this could be a very loaded question. But why do you love Batman? And I guess a second part is, why do you love Arkham Asylum?
Okay, why do I love Batman? There's this really great mantra that I read quite a while ago from a friend who's also equally as big a nerd as I am, also did pro wrestling with him. That the older you get, the more you will relate to Batman's villains.
Yes. Yes.
And I keep sort of, I keep going back to that all the time, and the relating of the whys and the wheres and all that sort of stuff. Like some of Batman's villains you can't, because some of them are born out of very, very different reasons, which obviously is a deeper dive for later on in the podcast. But that always starts to get me questioning a lot of things as to why people, love the franchises. Are they relating to the villains now?
Yeah.
Is this what's going on? But I've always been a Batman fan from way back, sort of thing. The Riddler is my boy.
He'd be your favorite villain?
Eddie is my absolute favorite, followed very, very closely by Scarecrow. And as soon as I found out that this was being developed, and especially with Rocksteady, because they were and still are quite a solid dev house, I knew, yep, this game has to be in my collection straight away. And then scouring at the local game stores to get any information on it the day that it was released, oh look, there's a collector's edition. It has all of this crap with it. Thank you very much. I was customer number 2 in Australia to pre-order that one. So
oh wow!
There's my big flex for today.
I wonder who number 1 was.
It was probably an employee of the store.
Damn them, always is.
That's right. So yeah. That was interesting when it all crossed over and came together.
That'd be funny. Okay, just because we're talking about wrestling, imagine you're number 2 and you look over to number 1 and it's someone in a hood, and he lifts up the hood and it's Vince McMahon. It was me, Asylum. It was me all along. Like, oh god, what a twist. Anyway, only true wrestling fans will get that reference.
Yeah. That would be the moment where I break out into a cold sweat and I want a contract now.
And then you stun him.
No.
Sorry. You continue your story. I just had to pull that one out.
No, that was perfect. So it was a great crossover of, a favorite franchise of all time being Batman. A great dev house that I admire and respect a lot in Rocksteady, and the great love of gaming. All three of them came together at this, crescendo of I need this. And I had to be in there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I was personally a little bit late to Arkham Asylum. I think I got this game around 2013 or something like that.
Okay.
But oh my god. I played it. I think I played it on the PS3. I was like, oh. The first thought I had was, wow, I feel like I am Batman in this game. Even though it's third person, not first person, but the immersion was unreal. Like I felt like Batman, and I was like, well, this is my life now.
I've got the biggest, dopiest grin on my face right now because I can totally relate.
Yeah. I also am a huge Batman fan. I actually have a Batman sleeve on my left arm of Batman and the Joker. I'll have to try and get some proper photos because people always ask to see it, and I'm like, no, my body. So I'll have to get some photos one day. But growing up, I was a Spider-Man fan. I still love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is fantastic, but because I'm a kid, I'm like, Spidey, he's so great. And then I think as I got older, I moved over to Batman because I'm like, oh, he's so dark and brooding, and the one thing I think that makes Spider-Man and Batman probably the greatest just characters and stories of all time are their villains, because they both have some of the best villains of all time.
Mm-hmm.
They're so good. I also have a Joker secret lab chair as well. That's just throwing that out there. But Batman is so good. Are you excited? How do you feel about the new movie with Robert Pattinson?
As with Batfleck, everyone sort of is on this really, really great mission to be the biggest hater. You know, oh, I hate Ben Affleck, but this is going to be an absolutely terrible, yada. Whereas if you look historically in the Batman franchise, there were a lot of people who absolutely discredited Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow, and he nailed it.
Perfect. Awesome.
And then there was, albeit a small percentage, who thought Heath Ledger was just going to go belly up and be the worst choice ever.
I think it was bigger. I think it was like at least medium. There was a lot of people who like, Heath Ledger from 10 Things I Hate About You? No, he can't be the Joker. And then look what happened. The greatest Joker of all time, most likely.
He just absolutely... And if you read all of the goings on and the, you know, after his passing, may he rest in peace, getting into the Joker role, according to a few people, was what put him in the mindset on his negativity and his downward spiral.
Yeah.
So that as sad as it is, it's also fascinating in equal measures.
Oh yeah, it was very sad because Heath Ledger just seemed like a dude you could hang with and have a beer with and get a pub lunch with, and he was so talented and so handsome, and I mean he just had the best role of his life. And did he win the Oscar? Or I think he won an award. Like it was after his passing. I think he won an award for his role. Super.
He had a posthumous one. I remember that.
Yeah, super sad. And yeah, it's sad that the best thing he ever did caused him to unfortunately pass away.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Robert Pattinson.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Back to Robert Pattinson.
So like Ben Affleck, I liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I was excited to see more of Ben Affleck as Batman. And now with Robert Pattinson, I'm like, yo, give him a chance. Like, you know,
give him a shot. It could be a big thing. You never know. Just
don't judge it because he was on Twilight. You know, just because you don't like Twilight doesn't mean he's going to be terrible. I mean, Ben Affleck was in a lot of bad, like, lovey-dovey movies, and he was badass.
He totally rocked the what do they say? Older Bruce Wayne. And he totally nailed it.
And also,
he nailed it really well.
Ben Affleck had my favorite bat suit, like in movies. Like that was a good bat suit.
Yeah.
That was badass.
Yeah.
And I think he murdered a few dudes, which was, you know, look, out of character, but it was cool.
Minor details. However.
Yeah. I'm sure they're living somewhere, just not happily.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Oh my god. So speaking of murdering people, looking back on 2009, it was a pretty odd year for video games, with amazing games like Assassin's Creed 2, Minecraft, Borderlands, Modern Warfare 2, Uncharted 2, Left 4 Dead 2, a lot of sequels in 2009. Dragon Age Origins coming out. It was also a year full of terrible movie tie-in games like Coraline, Chronicles of Riddick, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Avatar the Game, Saw, Transformers, Terminator Salvation, and even a Grey's Anatomy game. And I had to look this game up, and it's like a mobile game. It's terrible. It's terrible.
I'm doing a full body cringe right now hearing those last three words.
I'm like,
Grey's Anatomy game.
I always find the weirdest stuff doing this podcast. Like last week, I think it was last week. I can't remember. Time is weird. I found a home improvement video game, which is a side-scrolling like action game platformer.
There was.
I was like, okay, so that's a thing. So yeah, Grey's Anatomy game. Add that to the list of just weird shit we didn't need and probably don't need ever. But 2009. What kind of gamer was a young 2009 Asylum like back then?
Head smashed well and truly into the story of Ezio Auditore di Firenze. Following along with Assassin's Creed, I was all about it. I was G'd up to get an Assassin's Creed half sleeve done. I love the game so much. Then when Borderlands dropped, my wife, myself, and I, and this is where honestly, this is where I wish I could have been in streaming, because we were in Borderlands so heavily that we knew all of the builds, how the characters react, how to do what, and it was just the most fun ever. You know, Call of Duty, everyone played that. I don't think there was a person alive that didn't play Modern Warfare 2.
Nope. Even my mum probably played that while I was asleep.
Yep. Oh, I've got no doubt that my folks had a bit of a crack at it. But look, when that moment you said with the movie tie-ins being absolutely terrible, you're not wrong.
And they were all terrible, like third person, just clunky, disgusting, yuck, like no effort whatsoever kind of games.
I think the reason that they bombed so hard was the fact that they were trying to make a video game from the movie instead of saying, hey, this is a really unique IP. Look, Coraline, for instance. This is a really unique IP. Why don't we make our own and make a game of it instead of being from the movie? So if they would have explored Coraline a little deeper and done it differently, it would have been a success.
I think
Chronicles of Riddick, the same thing. 2009
was such a, I mean, it is quite a long time ago. What's that, like 12 years ago now?
No, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's always 2 years ago.
Yeah,
It was such a different time for gaming where I feel like companies and publishers could feel like they could just do whatever they want and they would sell a game. Where now, if that shit happened, I'd be like, no, goodbyes.
Your studio will close the next day.
Yeah, it's like, no, we're kind of switched on now, and with, you know, how big social media is now and everyone talking to one another, it's a whole new world, and they can't get away with shit like that. And that's why you don't see movie tie-ins at all. I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, they're just being buried though.
although I won't say no to Grey's Anatomy 2. Just give me that game where it's like a psychological first-person horror game.
God damn it!
And it's actually you've been shrunken down, and you're actually inside Grey's Anatomy.
Oh dear!
Wow, actually, give me that game.
All right, yeah, let's get on the horn. Who's
gonna make this? Who's gonna make this? I'll call Tencent. Tencent will make anything.
And we'll get the original writers from Leisure Suit Larry. They'll do it justice.
Wow. Okay. Now I want this game. That's the game I want. Oh my boy. Speaking of Grey's Anatomy, the first developed Batman video game was simply titled Batman and was released in 1986 for the Amstrad PCW, the Amstrad CPC, the ZX Spectrum, and the MSX, which basically all home computer systems.
Yes.
Have no idea what the hell they are. I'll put a link to the actual video game in the show notes because it's kind of cool looking. It's very 86.
Oh yeah. Very.
Before the development of the Arkham games even began, EA Games actually had the rights to the IP in video game form. EA went on to develop a movie tie-in game to Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins in 2005, which upon release received average reviews. Another tie-in game for The Dark Knight was planned, but was eventually cancelled due to technical issues and the game not meeting the deadline, which coincided with the movie release. This caused the rights for the making of Batman games to revert back to WB Games. Oh my god!
Thank Christ.
I had a little like peek at the Batman Begins game, and nah, don't even look at it. I'm not even gonna put it in the show notes. Terrible. So did you play? What other Batman games did you play before? Did you play any before Arkham Asylum?
There were a couple. Yes, I played the movie tie-ins.
Oh, so it's your fault we have these games. You spend your hard-earned cash on it.
My fault exclusively.
Yeah. That's why you're only second to pre-order, because it's your fault.
That's right. No, there were quite a few. And ironically enough, they were all just named Batman. They didn't have any great scope of, hey, there's a multitude of ways we can go about this. I would think it was about 1990-ish that we saw the first Batman something and the rest of the title. And it was a game called Return of the Joker. That's right. And it was released in 1990, between 1990 and 1992, on the Game Boy.
Good old Game Boy.
And the Sega Genesis and the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, I played that over my cousin's house because he had an NES and I had the Master System, the Sega.
Nice.
So I used to play Return of the Joker over his place, and that was cool. And then, obviously it went a lot further from there, with said movie tie-ins and stuff like that. The arcade game of Batman Forever. If anyone ever played that, yeah, I understand why you're in therapy. It was bad. It was bad. But yeah, when they started to get into looking at, yes, there are a great deal of other ways we can go about this franchise and look at different things apart from let's just carbon copy the movie. Things really started to take up, which was so much better after they just opened the world. It was great. It was amazing.
It's like, take the IP and do something with it. Stop just basing it off a movie that's already been done.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of Batman Forever, Jim Carrey, best Riddler, like, it's so good. Like it's a role made for Jim Carrey.
It was. Well, we've got to narrow it down there. The campy OTT Riddler, like the glammed up
from the old series.
Yeah. If you want to go with campy, glammed up, over the top, then yes, that was definitely Jim Carrey's version.
Yeah.
It was pretty much Jim Carrey was created in a laboratory just to play that role.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna look a little harder into some of the darker Riddler things, Jim Carrey would not have fit at all.
No. I think it's because I think it's because I watched it like as a young child.
Yep.
So it's like that's my Riddler, but I'm loving all the new darker stuff they're doing, like with Gotham, the TV series, and the newer movies and stuff. It's cool, but like I go back, I'm like, man, Jim Carrey's Riddler was so good, even though probably my mum was like, yuck. Yuck.
just simply yuck.
You don't understand, Mum. It's like, why has Tommy Lee Jones got half a face? I don't know. He's upset about something. Classic Tommy Lee Jones doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, speaking of Batman, what about good old your boy George Clooney?
Oh, Clooney. He was great.
The guy who apologized to the fandom for playing Batman.
He did. I'm sorry I did this. I on that note, I do like that the fandom actually took a step back and said, well, he apologized.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
He's now a good Batman.
Yeah, that's it.
He said sorry. I mean, as I said before, I watched this as a kid. I thought it was a great movie. You watch it now, you're like, yeah, I see where the problem was, but it's fine. Just let him have his Batman credit card and his bat nips and Arnie is Mr. Freeze. Oh, it's just all the ice puns. Oh god, what a time! So much neon. Oh my god. Anyway,
they pretty much wrote Freeze to be a one line the whole time. That's all it was.
It kind of ruined Mr. Freeze for everyone. That's what they thought he was. He's like, no, he's got depth. He's sad. He's like, I used to see you. You're like, oh, he's not that sad. Saying dad puns all day.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, good old Mr. Freeze.
Yes.
Speaking of terrible dad puns, Arkham Asylum was first announced to the public in early 2008, and this was the first time a lot of us had even heard of Rocksteady Studios. Rocksteady's first release was in 2006, a first-person shooter called Urban Chaos Riot Response, developed for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox and published by Eidos. I looked at this game. It's very 2006.
It is. It
It's very
is.
2006. Um, after Eidos obtained the rights to make a Batman game in the spring of 2007, they approached Rocksteady, who presented their take on the Batman license, and by May 2007, they had begun developing the concept of Batman Arkham Asylum, with full production beginning in September 2007, which is, it's cool that they're like, they made this, I'm not gonna say terrible, I never played it, but like this typical cheapo looking first person shooter, and it's like, here's Batman. Good work, go nuts. Writer Paul Dini, who did the Batman animated series and Detective Comics, was first approached by DC Comics around late 2007 about the prospect of creating a story for an original Batman video game. Dini found the idea intriguing, believing that few Batman games were based on an original idea, like we've literally just been talking about for the last 5 years, instead of being adapted from film or television. Oh my god, it's like he understands the fans.
I didn't knew what was going on.
Oh my god, just listen to Paul Dini. He later met with the Rocksteady team, where it was decided that Dini's ideas were in line with what Rocksteady wanted to achieve. By the time Dini joined the project, Rocksteady were investigating the idea of setting the game within Arkham and had produced preliminary nailed it, designs depicting it as a huge estate on an island connected to the mainland Gotham City by a bridge. The cast had not been finalized, but given the setting, it was certain that the Joker would play a large role because, of course it would.
Of course.
The core aim was to make the game engaging enough for the players to spend 8 to 10 hours completing it, especially those uninterested in the Batman franchise media. Rocksteady would guide Dini, because I can read, would guide Dini when they thought he was writing too much story or character motivation. Now, Paul Dini is an actual lord who has worked on everything. The main thing he gave us, he introduced us to Harley Quinn in the Batman animated series, and he co-wrote the story to one of my favorite. Okay, this is going to be like a hot take that no one even knows this movie exists. One of my favorite movies growing up was Double Dragon. Do you remember that movie?
Yes.
It was my favorite movie growing up.
So good.
Oh my god. Are we the same person, Asylum?
I think we are, just
Did we just become
geographically
best
separated.
friends? Oh my god. You want to do
Yes.
karate in the garage? Yeah, so one of my favorite movies growing up, Double Dragon, Paul Dini had his hand in that. I'm like, wow, this guy's an absolute genius. With someone like that on board, they definitely knew they had something special story-wise. Like can you give me an idea of what it would be like to be Paul Dini and just the ideas he would have had?
Oh. Look, okay. There's two people on this planet. I like the idea of getting to know people and sort of, feeling out their personality and how they think and just sort of thinking beyond that, It's a weird thing to think, how does that person go about their daily life, stuff like that. There's two people on this planet that I am absolutely terrified to think of. How does that person go about their daily life? One of them's Paul Dini, and the other one's Ed Boon.
Why?
Oh, well, those who know the name Ed Boon know that it's synonymous with Mortal Kombat. Yes. How can somebody who created Mortal Kombat go about being excited and dreaming up all of these fatalities?
He's probably had them banked up for a while.
Look, and then that sort of goes on a little bit further to scare me even more. It's like, if this is this guy's, because he's been quoted many times, this has been my dream to make something this, polarizing and this graphical. What are his nightmares like? Holy, this would be stuff that would petrify the most, resolute person ever.
Yes.
But, and then, like I said, Paul Dini, another one. I do like that you found out reference that, the studio had to keep bringing him down from writing stories to, we're doing this now, Paul, come back.
Yeah.
Come back and sit down. I do appreciate that, because I am of the belief that if he was given more reign at DC, not just in the games area, but in the comic section, oh, I'll go on record right now for saying we'd see another Hush.
Yes.
Yep.
I think he would be up there with. He'd probably make the next good graphic novel, like the next best one that we all talk about. You know, Hush and the Killing Jokes and the Dark Knight Returns, and like he would make those like that.
He would.
Maybe he's not. Maybe he did make one. No, we can't put this out, sir. It's too much.
Even the heads at DC, they're just like, whoa.
Oh God.
Can you stop, please?
We can't put him back in the box. Yeah, fantastic. Just a fantastic mind, and I guess it sums up and makes sense that he would be the one to create Harley Quinn for the world. What a fantastic character that went on to be. Even in the animated series, she was fantastic.
Yep.
Like just out of the gate,
Absolutely.
was fantastic. Oh my God, good old Paul Dini. And I'm waiting for Double Dragon 2, by the way. Just I know you're
Paul,
listening. Actually, one of my because I was a young lad watching Double Dragon, and it had a really like beautiful Alyssa Milano with like short hair and like little shorts. I was like, yeah, I can see why this is my favorite movie. Oh, it's got fighting. Okay, yeah, that'll do, I guess.
I was fighting somewhere in there. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
whatever. Yeah, Alyssa Milano. God damn, what a 90s babe. Speaking of Alyssa Milano, one of the biggest influences on the game would have to be Grant Morrison's graphic novel Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth. But Dini has come out and said that the video game is not a direct adaptation. There are a lot of other video game influences too. Producer Nathan Burlow has said BioShock, which came out in 2007, influenced a lot of the narrative, atmosphere, and its believability of a fictional world. Director Sefton Hill said the influences of the gadgets and abilities that can be combined and used in different ways were from The Legend of Zelda and Metroid. Designs for the asylum departed from comic interpretations of a large mansion and instead developed an entire island with hints of Alcatraz prison composed of multiple buildings to allow for greater variety and exploration. Each building was designed with a different architectural, nailed it, style to make the facility appear believable and to imbue each location with a history. 40 rooms, 34 corridors, 3 exterior areas, and 3 goddamn terrifying scarecrow-induced hallucination areas were designed for the game.
They were beautiful.
So good. BioShock being one of the best games ever made.
Yes.
You definitely get BioShock vibes from the atmosphere and the world they built. And if you like took away the Batman IP and like kind of made this first person, this could have been a BioShock game.
Yep, it could have been a carbon copy. Absolutely.
It's like, oh, you copied BioShock. Good work. So what's something about the world and the asylum that you loved and stood out to you?
Like the fact that all of this is going on in one island is such a confined area, but it feels so broad.
Yes.
Like the as you said, with the atmosphere taking its cues from BioShock. God, I love that game. They nailed it. They absolutely fucking nailed it. Because if you look at BioShock itself, it's a city underwater. It's not a sprawling country.
Yeah, BioShock's quite small as well, if you really think about it.
But it feels so big and so vast. So when you start to get into the like out of the main story part, like when you start going looking for Riddler trophies, it's so big. Like you look for this particular trophy and you're going through your list of all your completeds and I've got to find that one over there. And you start to go along with the map and find out where it is. I've lost count of the amount of times I have to go over there now. And you just want to find a fast travel or the quickest way there sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it that sense of vastness, that sense of broad area was also its it makes it feel to the person small, but to the player big.
Yeah.
Which is it's I love the way they did it.
the one thing I loved about the game and I guess the design of the world is it felt lived in. Like
Yes.
everything's put there for a reason. Every little scratch, every like Riddler mark or like writing on the wall or every cell, you're like, wow, this is like and for like what 2007, 2008, 2009, that's a pretty big effort. Like it's
That
kind of
was.
expected these days, but back then, like it's like wow, this world's been lived in. Like this asylum is not somewhere you want to be.
Uh-huh.
And I love it. And
Absolutely.
all the little side characters, all the prisoners that you don't necessarily fight, but they're like talking to you and like, goddamn,
Yep.
so good.
Yep. So good.
And yeah, it did feel very claustrophobic, like especially when you're going through those like the corridors and stuff. You're going from one bit to the next. You're like, oh man, this is goddamn. This is really tight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm freaking out.
Starting to get sweaty here.
Oh, and then you start fighting dudes, but we'll get into the fighting in a second.
Yes.
The design team isolated the components that they felt made Batman and exaggerated these elements. Design ideas which contradicted these facets of the character were dropped, and other elements of Batman, such as his refusal to kill his enemies, were strictly enforced, which provided additional challenges in allowing the player to have complete freedom in the game without transgressing on that fundamental aspect of the character, which is definitely going to be a hard thing in a video game. Arkham Asylum was chosen not only because it was a badass setting, but because it confined the player to an area containing several enemies, whereas in an open city setting, he could receive help, return to the Batcave, or otherwise be able to distance himself from his opponents, which you saw in later games. Approximately 7 months before development of Arkham Asylum was complete, Rocksteady began conceiving ideas for a possible sequel, which became Batman Arkham City, which, oh, wow, fantastic game. Rocksteady developed ideas for the sequel story and setting so the game's narratives could be effectively connected. A secret room containing hints, blueprints, and concept art for the next game were hidden in the Asylum Warden's office in Arkham Asylum. The room remained hidden for 6 months following the game's release until Rocksteady themselves had to reveal the presence, which is very hidden.
Guys, you did it too well.
It's like, oh, they haven't found it. Oh, let's just tell them then. We rejoice. With going from Asylum to Arkham City, did you like the fact that they went more open world, or would you rather a more linear experience? Or
I'm gonna go with the unpopular opinion here. I liked the size of Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
When they went further on into the franchise and it started a lot of, oh, here's more Bat gadgets like the car, and now you've got to drive for, for instance, 15-hour game. Now you have to be driving for 8 of those hours. Oh, come on.
You want to be Batman, not a car.
Yeah, that's it. We want to punch people. We don't want to sit there, with a rope out to a line out to a mine, infecting it with a virus. We don't want to have to be doing that for that long.
Yeah. Apparently they were going to add the Batmobile to this game, but they thought it would ruin the, I guess, the atmosphere and the story they wanted to tell.
Yeah.
Which was a good idea, guys. Nailed it.
Yeah. Look, it had to evolve. I'm just thinking that evolution went 2 steps.
Do you think it'd be good to get another sort of more? I know it's probably never going to happen with, the announcement of Gotham Knights and the Suicide Squad game, but like I'm kind of the same. Like I like linear experiences and shorter experiences. Like I said with Hitman 3, I would love if a new Batman game went back to like the Asylum kind of game style where it's not open world and you're sort of progressing through a well-told story and having really cool action set pieces along the way.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yep. Look, if they went to have to go and do it back again, just turn it down.
Just turn it down.
I
still liked Arkham City. I thought it was a great game, good story, but yeah, just...
Oh, it is. I'm not going to disagree with that ever, but, just turn it down just a fraction,
They went to 11.
They went to 11. Bring it back to about 9, and you would have. Ah,
I would have bought it again, but now you lost my second purchase.
yeah, that's
Speaking of purchases, the development team wanted to include iconic aspects of the Batman lore and mythos, and early on in production decided to have the Lords Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and Arlene Sorkin reprise their roles from the Batman animated series as Batman, the Joker, and Harley Quinn, respectively. Hamill has thousands of lines of dialogue in the game, and Conroy has relatively few in comparison. After seeing character models of the Joker's Arkham Asylum appearance, Hamill decided to portray the character as a darker and grittier Joker, while still retaining that clownish and playful nature we all love. Just reading that back sounds freaking hilarious. Although the game features references and Easter eggs to plot events in both the animated series and Batman comics, the story does not directly follow any singular story or depiction of the character.
No.
So, to me personally, and probably to a lot of people, Conroy and Hamill are god tier Batman and Joker. Like, I think Hamill would probably have to be one of my favorite Jokers. Like, I just love his character so much. Conroy he's a fantastic Batman. So who is your favorite Batman and Joker out of any game, TV series, movie, comic book? You have 10 seconds.
Oh, don't. Don't.
We will start with Batman. Who's your favorite Batman? You got 3 seconds.
Look, Nolan's Batman. Look, it had, yeah, Christopher Nolan's Batman worked so well.
Nolan started the revolution.
Yeah. It pains me to say it because there are so many great adaptations of Batman. Conroy being stellar, absolutely stellar. But having to say that Christopher Nolan's Batman peaks the list, it's yeah, it's going to be unpopular. I know.
I can't disagree with you because I thought Christian Bale did a fantastic job.
He really did. He did an amazing job. But let's put it this way: Christian Bale, great actor, stuck the role. But if Nolan didn't push it in the direction it needed to, it definitely could have been something very, very different.
Oh, 100%. Like, I think I've got some notes about it later on, but I'm going to say it now anyway. So if I repeat myself later, I'm going to look like an idiot. But
yes,
Nolan's Batman literally changed how people made, watched, received superhero movies. Like before then, they were trying to get a little more serious with the original X-Men movies and Spider-Man. And while they were a little bit more serious than, say, 90s, 80s stuff, it was still a little bit like, fun and childish and bright. And then Nolan comes along and he's like, you know what? This is going to be fucking dark. It's going to be dark.
There's other side.
And then, now we have the MCU. I don't think the MCU ran because Nolan walked.
That's right. It gave him the legs.
Fantastic. So who's your favorite Joker? You got 1 second.
Romero. Absolutely Romero.
Yeah? With his little mustache and everything?
Yes.
I actually have a pop vinyl of him. I have the Surf's Up one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got the Batman one as well because I'm like, they're adorable.
Yeah. No, Romero, look, he gave the psychopathic hilarity. It gave that ultimate opening into the window that the Joker thought all of this was a game and all of this was funny in his mind. And he portrayed it so well, albeit that it was camp as a row of tents.
Yep.
But he did it so well.
He was the less campiest person on that show.
Oh, look, when John Astor played the Riddler, he brought the camp down a lot.
I love how he's like, I'm not shaving my mustache, just paint over it.
Nope, that's right.
Oh, it's sad that he I just looked him up. He actually died in 1994. It's kind of sad that he wasn't around now to see where the Joker went, and he could have done a guest appearance somewhere. Would have been really cool. Yeah, very, very sad. I mean, he was born in 1907. Yeah. He had a life. But yeah, I mean, great Joker. I mean, obviously can't go past Heath Ledger. As I said before, did a fantastic job. What did you think of the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix?
Tracing back to that whole idea that once we got past the movie franchises of video games and they realized, guys, there's more stories we can tell. And about 6 executives' brains just went and ended up all over some wall somewhere. A completely different Joker in a completely different story. Look, people shit on Gangster Joker.
Jared Leto?
Jared Leto, yeah. People shit on him, and I just think to myself, why are you shitting on that one in particular when this is an interpretation of a character that has so many facets of itself? It's a story that needed to be told. And they spend their whole time just absolutely dumping on this guy. When I'm going to go with another unpopular opinion, I liked it. I liked Gangster Joker.
You know what? I liked it too. I thought I thought like he wasn't in the movie long enough to really have a full opinion anyway. Like I was like, no, he wasn't really in it, but I'm keen to see where he goes. Like he could have went in any direction. He could have gone crazier, more malicious. Like I saw that he could, and I was like, I can't wait to see more of this. But unfortunately, it got all cut, and now everyone hates him for some reason. So I don't think we'll ever see it. But apparently, there's a new version of Jared Leto's Joker and the Zack Snyder Justice League movie, which they've changed him a bit. Which I'm like, yeah, whatever, do whatever you want. But yeah, it's because people have their favorite Joker, right? Before Heath Ledger, it was Jack Nicholson. Heath Ledger can't be Joker. Heath Ledger nails it. And then Jared Leto comes out. It's like, well, Heath Ledger's the best Joker. And while Jared Leto didn't nail it because he didn't do anything, but you get where I'm going with it. But the Joker movie I thought was great. It was fantastic. I thought it was maybe a little bit slow at the start to get to where it was going, but the last third, I was like, wow, okay, this is good. Especially that like the TV interview, like right near the end.
Yes.
Like iconic. You're like, oh my god. Like when he starts embracing like who he is and his thoughts and his feelings and starts acting on them, like, wow, like holy shit.
Yes. The crossover moment.
Very intense. He kind of you kind of feel bad for, like, it made you kind of feel bad for him, which is what you're saying. Like, they're telling a different story. It's a different Joker. There's no Batman, but like it still works. And I think it probably could have worked without the Joker title as well. Like if it was just about I'm not gonna say create like a guy with mental health issues, and then he acted on the more violent and impulsive side of his, and just dressed up in a costume while he did it. It could have worked.
It could have. It absolutely could have.
But then you had the joke. You're like, this is sick.
Yeah.
Just waiting for Batman to drop in, and be like, stop it. Stop it, please.
I do like that it worked as a Batman story, but Batman-less.
Yeah.
The whole time. Like you know what's going on. You know this villain, and it worked really well, but you never saw the good guy.
No.
It was just, and I like it.
Didn't have to. And I don't know how you feel about like the DC universe. I've gone down many times. I'm gonna die on this hill. I'm not a fan of it, and I think the problem is they try and force this MCU thing with it, and it's just not working. Just go back and make solid movies about these characters. Don't try and like force them into a fucking super group. No one cares. Just make, and the Joker kind of proved it, that you can make a nice DC movie with no tie-ins to anything else. It's just a movie. You watch it, you enjoy it again and again and again. And it's not like they're creeping in the Flash somewhere to be like, oh yeah, it's in that universe. Okay. I think that's where, I mean, Suicide Squad was good. They tried to cram in some like Justice League stuff into that. Then they did the Batman Superman stuff. They tried to cram other Justice League stuff into that. And then they did Justice League after like what 2 movies, and no one knew who these people were. And yeah,
it's not Justice League though.
Nah,
it's not.
Just make solo movies. Make a Batman movie without anyone else.
No.
So I hear you have feelings about Justice League.
No, it's
let it out, my friend.
It's missing it. You know what it's missing. I know what it's missing. That name, Hal Jordan. It's missing Green Lantern. Green Lantern was pivotal as far as a character that intertwined within everybody's personalities in the comics and everything like that. And because there's now this massive split of ownership of the rights to the property of Green Lantern, you're never going to see it work fully developed in a Justice League movie.
I think they cooked the whole Justice League thing now. I think it's cooked, and now they're just trying to like scratch back to some sort of relevance. But I'm like, maybe just cut your losses.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't polish a turd.
That's right. Don't try and make the story relevant anymore. It's not going to happen. Just skip straight to the end.
Yeah,
now
give us the end.
Do the bit where someone's died, someone's gone this way, and just split it up again and go back into individual IPs.
Finish up the arc and go back and make just standalone Superman, Batman movies. Make another Wonder Woman movie. I don't care.
Yeah. Look, have appearances. I'm not saying don't have that character chemistry at all. Yeah, that's still a great thing. It's still a pivotal thing. Have appearances from each other. Put Batman somewhere in a Wonder Woman movie, but make sure that it's known that it's an appearance of a character and they are there for that specific purpose, and then they're fucking off and going somewhere else.
It's not like, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah,
about a certain league.
I'll see you at the hideout. No, it's a thanks for your help.
Yeah, because this enemy maybe was a bit too hard for me.
Yep, that's it. Have it like the assist trophies in Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
You know, this was a bit difficult for me. Thank you for throwing that well-timed batarang. You can fuck off now.
You nailed it.
And off he goes.
See you at the don't see you at the hideout. No hideouts.
No, don't mention the hideout.
What hideout? It's like a fight club.
Just end it with thank you. Thank you.
I don't think they can. They try and write it down on the piece of paper and like it's like in Liar Liar when Jim Carrey's trying to write a line.
Yes!
I can't just write thank you.
Blue.
I'll see you at the hideout. Damn it, I did it. Fucked it up. Speaking of hideouts, so this game took approximately 21 months, almost 2 years to complete. Really, in the scheme of things, that's not that long.
No, it's not.
I made it sound really more extravagant than what it is. Rocksteady began development with a team of 40, which had expanded to around 60 by the game's completion. Combat was considered one of the greatest challenges in developing the game, as the system went through 3 iterations, which I found. So Rocksteady originally developed the game's combat as a full rhythm action game, which I laughed at. According to senior gameplay designer Paul Denning, and I quote, "Batman would fight enemies in time with music. As the camera would cut, a new guy would come in, and you'd have to punch him on the beat to connect, and he'd end up getting hit. Or you'd end up getting hit. if you had two guys running at you, you'd have to branch off into another piece of music that would seamlessly blend into a combo attack. My God, end quote. My God, that would have been a whole different story if they stuck to that combat. Yeah.
The game would have tanked, just straight up.
It would have been one of those terrible, just third-person games that just sit on a shelf somewhere.
It would have been one of those games where you've thought this could have been so much better.
Like Batman Begins.
Like Batman Begins.
It'd be on the same. It'd be in a box set with that game. A combo duel. Oh man, when I found that out and read that, I was like, oh wow, we were so lucky we avoided this.
So lucky.
It was also later set in 2D, which involved colored circles crashing into each other during fights, which I have no idea how that works. But the final system was sort of based on this 2D model. Combat was designed to be unique for Batman and was given a simple control scheme to reflect the ease with which Batman can perform the moves. ADOS president Ian Livingstone said one developer spent 2 years programming Batman's cape, using over 700 animations and sound effects to make it move more realistically.
I believe that.
It was a good cape. It was a very good cape.
Yeah.
This Arkham combat, in quotes, was, as I said before, like the Nolan movies, was very revolutionary. And I can't really think of anything before this game which had combat like this. And the combat style has also gone on to inspire games like Shadow of Mordor and the newer Spider-Man games. Mm-hmm. But my question to you, Asylum, is how bloody good was this combat?
Oh,
oh my God.
Wait, if they would have gone through that two circles crashing motion like you see in the later what's the title? Tomb Raider. The later Tomb Raider games where you're trying to pinpoint the exact moment and the circle's shrinking down towards
like a QTE?
Yeah. That's what that was going to be.
Oh, okay. Yuck.
Yeah, and it would have gross. Your whole fight sequence would have been like 5 dudes would have been done within 20 seconds and it would have felt empty.
Yep.
But the free flow combat that they changed it into, it is always going to be one of those things where a lot of people are going to attempt to copy it, but there is not a dev house on the planet that's going to perfect it.
I think Shadow of Mordor and Spider-Man were close, but it wasn't. Yeah. I don't know. When I played Spider-Man, I was like, this is like Batman, but I mean, I guess it didn't feel as weighty as Batman because obviously Spider-Man's a scoring little teenager, but oh man, it's just, it's so, and I remember the first time you start, putting combos together and actually fighting, going from one dude to the next, like, whoa.
Yeah.
What's happening? And you're like, wow, I feel so freaking cool. And it sort of added to the immersion that I am the Batman. This is sick. I was blown away with it. It was so, and I can't think of anything that was anything like that beforehand.
Nope. No, yeah. It is one of the most unique fighting experiences. And like you said, with Spider-Man doing it as best they could, it didn't feel as weighty because, well, I personally feel that Spider-Man relied more on environment instead of just being brutal. Punch in the face, break your leg, knock you the fuck out sort of thing. It relied more on environment of, hey, let's quickly get that barrel over there with this and back into the dude's face sort of thing. So you had to give the environment its cues as well, which made it stand out more. It worked more environment into the player's control as opposed to in the Batman series where the environment was under the NPC's control, where they'd go and pick up bats and guns and stuff like that. So I want to go so far as to say the combat in Spider-Man was a hat tip.
Yeah.
To a nod to Arkham.
That's what I mean. Like the combat is so influential that we're seeing it in a lot of newer games, and I'm sure we'll see it for years to come. And you know what people say? It's like, oh, Spider-Man has the Arkham combat. Shadow Mordor has the Arkham combat.
The Arkham combat, yeah.
Because when you talk about these games, the Arkham series and Asylum and City especially, because they're the better ones,
Yes.
people like, the first thing that we talk about is, man, the combat. Like it's such a big part of the game where you could have made the best story, the best graphics. You could have made the cape freaking sing like Frank Sinatra with your 3,000 years working on the realistic cape animations. But if it had the musically timed combat, you're like, nah.
Yeah,
nah.
that would have bombed.
Where just all these things, the story, the animations, the characters, the voice acting, the IP, the Asylum itself, the combat, it just all came together like a good pasta. That's anything I can think about at the time. I think a lot about food. Like a good Zinger box combo. You got a bit of everything, and it all works well.
And now I'm hungry.
And that's why this game will stand the test of time, and that's why I'm probably going to buy this on Steam as soon as we finish, and probably stream it in the next few weeks.
Look, I'm not going to deny the fact that it's currently downloading on Epic as we speak.
Yes, I have it. I don't have to buy it. I have it on Epic.
Yeah,
I got it for free that one time.
That free bundle, and there was the cheap bundle where it had all of them and the Lego games.
Oh yes, I think I got that. Also,
That's
it's currently 75% off Steam, so it's like $7 dues at the moment. So if you don't want to do Epic stuff, $7 dues. Which
in conversion into, the US dollar, that mean over in the US, you're probably going to be spending about maybe 40 cents.
40 freedom cents, by the way.
That's it, yeah.
I want to get so speaking of freedoms, I don't know where that's going.
Nope.
Arkham Asylum received critical acclaim with a metric score of 92 for the Xbox 360 version and a 91, oh my god, poor PlayStation, for the PlayStation 3. The game held the Guinness World Record for most critically acclaimed superhero game ever, based on an average Metacritic score of 91.67, until it was succeeded by Arkham City. Played yourself.
That's not surprising.
Worldwide, the game sold nearly 2 million units in its first 3 weeks of release and had sold 2.5 million by the end of September 2009. According to NPD Group, Batman Arkham Asylum sold approximately 593,000 units in North America alone during the 5 track days following its release on August 25th. By December 2009, the PlayStation 3 version of the game had outsold the Xbox 360 version by approximately 10,000 units, despite multi-platform titles typically selling better on the Xbox 360 at the time. Which, I mean, back then I didn't really follow console wars and stuff like that. I was a PlayStation boy myself, so obviously it sold better because PlayStation is better. Screw you, Xbox. But the Game Pass is fantastic. Oh man!
Hey, weren't we praising Sea of Thieves before?
Yeah, but I won't play it on an Xbox. I'll play it on my Microsoft Windows PC. Yeah, I've just never been an Xbox guy, and now that all Microsoft games come to PC, I don't really have a reason to get an Xbox. But like right now, just to go on a tangent, Microsoft and I guess Xbox is the most. I know they're still a business, but they're like the most consumer-friendly people out there. Like, just with the Game Pass and putting everything on PC as well, and being like, we don't care if you don't buy the new Xbox, as long as you're playing the game somewhere. And now they got the xCloud stuff coming out.
It feels like they've listened.
Yeah, just everything they do is like, it feels like it's for us and to make our lives easier and more affordable. Like, Xbox Game Pass is the thing you must own, even if you don't want to play everything. It's something that you'll find something to play. And Sea of Thieves is on there too, so go download it and I won't sink you.
And it's free on Game Pass.
Yeah. It's and then PlayStation's sort of still living in the past a little bit, and then you got Nintendo, which is like, this is still the 90s, brother.
Mind you, Nintendo are just printing their own cash.
Yeah.
They're in the console wars, Nintendo are the guys. Nintendo are the cryptocurrency earners, whereas
they're on a different level.
Sony and Xbox are still the ones fighting over being the one who owns the most real estate.
Yeah, and they still pay things with cash.
That's right, yeah. They still pay with cash instead of being, hey guys, you can use your card over a machine and it goes beep and whoa.
I don't trust that. No. Tracking me.
That's right.
But like just to go with Nintendo, like say what you want about Nintendo, whether you like them or hate them. I don't know how you hate Nintendo at this point, but when they release a game, it's an actual game that works and is barely buggy or messy or anything. It just comes out and it's a good game and it's fun and everyone should go buy Luigi's Mansion 3. This is not sponsored. It's just a good game that I really liked. More people need to play Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah.
Give me a 4th.
Yep.
God damn you. And Animal Crossing and Pokemon and Super Mario Odyssey and Smash and oh, okay, we're gonna do another episode of Nintendo games or something.
Yep.
Just geek out about Nintendo and
I'll be back for that.
Cry with happiness. So the exclusive content featuring the Joker as a playable character was cited as a possible reason for the success of the PlayStation 3 version. It'll go down as one of the best superhero / comic video games of all time, and as I said a million times, like the Nolan trilogy did for superhero comic book movies, changed the way people made superhero games. So we had we had good and decent comic book games before this. Do you have any other favorite comic book / superhero video games?
Video games. Ooh.
That's not Batman? And you can think of, I mean, if you can't think of one, then just say no.
Who can deny Superman on the Nintendo 6? I'm sorry, I couldn't even say that without breaking out into a fucking hideous grin.
That was going to be my second question. Which games didn't you particularly like?
Oh. The list is long but distinguished.
Like Superman 64 is like infamous. With how okay, I'm gonna find a video. I'm gonna put it in the show notes, and you'll go watch Superman 64 fly through some rings like it's pilot wings for some reason. Speaking of pilot wings, what a good game that is. Yeah, like I honestly couldn't think of any other superhero games I liked sort of before this or really after. Like, what superhero games do we have?
Well, before it was a bit difficult to sort of pinpoint anything because as we discussed, they were all pretty much movie tie-ins.
Yes.
And it diluted the pool a little too difficult to narrow it down. But since, I mean, it's unfortunately taken some crossovers and I guess painting the franchises with a different brush to do good things. For example, the Lego franchises. Sure, they're based on what is essentially, and in parentheses, a kid's stuff, but you can sit down with a Lego franchise game and have fun. You can just have fun with it. It's not going to be anything to be ashamed of.
I had fun with Lego games I played.
Yep.
They're good games.
Then there's crossing the IP into different worlds. So Injustice.
Also good games. Very well made.
Yes. And then you got which was one I was thinking of? Onto different platforms where you got the one on the Switch and mobile game, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It takes a different take, a different look at things again to make them a better game. But if you're just going to carbon copy from the past, it's definitely going to fail. It's definitely going to be horrible.
You're gonna have a bad time.
It is. It's going to be a case of chlamydia. It's going to keep coming back to haunt you. You know?
Yep. Yeah, I think as we're gonna keep on saying, like this, like Arkham Asylum literally changed the. It was a point in history where it's like everything changed from then on out. A few other sort of superhero things I want to bring up is the Batman Telltale game. I thought was really good.
Oh yes,
I love that, and also. I guess it's technically a superhero game, kind of, but South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
Fractured butthole. Yes.
Butthole.
Butthole.
Just want to keep saying that word. That, I mean, it is a
It rolls off the
superhero game. They're superheroes.
Yes.
It's good. It's a fantastic game, and it's freaking hilarious. And unless you don't like South Park, then you're gonna have a bad time. Also like the Infamous series, kind of superhero-y with powers, a really good game as well. Yeah, before it's like BC and AD, right? You have before Arkham Asylum, you got after Arkham Asylum.
Yep.
Oh, man, I can't put my point across how much this game changed gaming forever.
It absolutely. I never thought of it like that with a BC AD thing,
Yep.
and you're absolutely right.
And now I'm gonna get a lot of hate because I'm kind of comparing Batman to Jesus, and that's just how it is now. Speaking of Jesus, we're gonna go and talk about the story and gameplay a little bit. Back when I used to first do this podcast, I used to go through the whole story, and I realized that's such a boring idea. So we're gonna go through like a little bit of what's happening, and I'm gonna start off with sort of the idea and how the game starts, and sort of what you're gonna get yourself into.
Mhm.
So after the Joker assaults Gotham City Hall, he is caught by none other than Batman. Duh. And taken to Arkham Asylum, which temporarily houses many members of the Joker's gang, who were transferred after a fire at Blackgate Prison. Believing the Joker allowed himself to be captured, Batman accompanies him to the asylum. The Joker's plan is revealed as Harley Quinn takes control of the security, and the Joker escapes into the facility, aided by a corrupt guard who kidnaps Commissioner Gordon. The Joker threatens to detonate bombs hidden around Gotham City if anyone tries to enter Arkham, forcing Batman to work alone. That's why he didn't call for backup, because he's such a badass. A quick thing here, a game based at Blackgate Prison would be really good too. That's something we don't really see much of.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Also, Harley Quinn, love her. So the intro to this game, like it literally from second one, when you're walking the Joker through the corridors to take him in, like you kind of like, something bad's gonna happen. It's a video game. But like it's such a good opening piece where you're like immediately immersed from moment one.
Yep.
It's so good. So do you have any favorite story moments or story beats that you would love to geek out about?
In the game specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah. As you said, the opening moment, that sequence where you hear Joker rambling and Batman's trying to do the whole thing where he's
Serious.
he's being serious and he's not freaked out about what's going to be coming up, sort of thing. And you just hear Joker being so nonchalant about everything about it. Welcome back to my hacienda. And going past Croc, Croc, old boy. That sort of gives it another level of atmospheric nature to it, where it's encapturing. It's really, really like, why is he being so calm about it? What is going on? What's going to happen next?
Yeah.
And then it happens. And it's like, all right, I'm done. Let's go. But just the Joker talking the way he does in those moments, that captured me specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know about everyone else, but then the way that as you progress through the story, each of the new villains brings in, and this is how this person's tied in, and you've got to deal with them at this point, and then this is how this person's tied in. And then in the background, yeah, there's some trophies around. Go and find this. So you can shut the Riddler up finally.
Do some game stuff.
Yeah. Just the way that as the story progresses, more enemy, more villain comes into every single part of it and every single facet, and then you find out sort of as you go along that Joker's calm nature at the very beginning was the entrapment, and not just Joker being psycho as he is.
Yeah. And the introduction of the main villains and a lot of like the minor smaller villains, it feels so natural. Like it's not forced. It doesn't feel forced. It just feels like they were naturally there, and you just happen to stumble upon them, and they just were introduced so beautifully. Like, it's good.
Yes. Like one that springs to mind was Calendar Man.
Yeah, and he's just like sitting there talking to himself,
chilling,
just reading his calendar. Dude, what a weird villain though. Like I know Batman's got good villains, but he's got some weird villains out there.
I think that in the vein of, as we were saying before with Pokemon, at a certain point in the Pokemon franchise, you have to sort of think, how much crack were they on to make that Pokemon? How high were they to develop some of these villainous personalities? You know, did they just run out of a point and have to say, "Oh, we've got to put some villain in there. What do we do for this?" So they went and got.
What about a Calendar Man?
What about? They got high and it's a calendar. Wait.
Someone's just like, they're like, look, like we need a new villain. Looking around the room, no lights, aircon, calendar. No one's ever done that. And then Marvel comes out with like, I don't know, Schedule Man or something.
In the ultimate back and forth.
Yeah, they've done many of that. We know through the history.
Oh, what are you talking about?
No one's copied anyone ever.
No.
So as we said, Arkham Asylum had a great cast of villains. Obviously, the Joker, Harley Quinn, Bane, Victor Zsasz, Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, and kind of the Riddler. Like he wasn't really in there, but he was around. He was talking.
Yeah.
Victor Zsasz, I think I was made aware of him because of this game. Like I never heard of him before. I don't know if he was where he came from in the Batman world. But he became like one of my favorite villains. I'm like, this dude's cool. And I'm glad he got a little bit of peace in. Oh, what was he? Was he in the Harley Quinn movie? The later one, the second one. He was like
I haven't seen the second one. I know he's in the Dark Knight.
Yeah, he's just in there, and I'd like to see him more. I'd like to see him more. That's just all I'm saying. Like I don't think he'll be a main villain, but I think he'd be a very good like henchman boss or something. Like
yeah,
he's crazy.
Yeah, like the way they dealt with him in Arkham, while feeling natural, as we said before, could have been more.
Yes,
could have been more.
I think because he's such a small, like I don't want to say he's like a small character, but I don't think he's as well known as the big boys. Yeah.
But
at least we got his name. Like they probably introduced him to a lot of people like myself who never heard of him. But I want to go on and talk about something you kind of mentioned before, these Scarecrow levels.
Ooh, yeah.
And the Scarecrow levels are basically these big hallucination, evil horror trips that take you on a wild journey, and there's like I think 3 of them or something like that. But they really changed up the gameplay where instead of you just going through corridor to corridor, even though the world's really well built and it's really cool, it changes up the entire gameplay where you're doing something completely different. It scares the shit out of you, and you don't know how you're gonna get out of this. But like, just how good were they? Like, I mean, that's the question of the day. How good were these levels, and how did you feel about them?
The second it changed into side-scrolling platformer, I geeked out. I totally geeked out. Oh, we're back into a little bit of they've sprinkled in the greater recipe. They've sprinkled just a dash of retro gaming into it, And thank you so very much for
And
that.
done so well and cleanly and makes sense, like story wise, game wise, like just not put in for like
Yeah,
nostalgia's sake or whatever.
it's not just in there for the sake of it. It's an hallucination from an overdose of gas. So it feels like a completely disconnected moment because you are so, for all intents and purposes, high,
Very.
on very high on this toxin that Scarecrow pops into your face. It feels disconnected, but still with enough thematically that you're doing a part in Batman. So you're out of the area of the asylum and you're in your own head. So it's not a movement and a gameplay like in the asylum. It's then onto a side-scrolling platformer. So it's completely removed from the main action, I guess you could call it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm blanking out just thinking about how good Scarecrow is. And the actual Scarecrow himself, like he becomes like huge and like overbearing and like trying to find you. Like the character, like overall in the whole game, the character design is chef's kiss, especially the Scarecrow and the Joker and I guess they changed Harley Quinn up from like, I mean, all we knew Harley Quinn from was maybe some comics and the animated series, which what most people know, but they completely changed her look as well. And I think a lot of future Harley Quinn stuff is based off Arkham Asylum.
Back to that moment.
Yeah.
Again, the pivotal moment.
Yeah, man, those Scarecrow nightmares are just fantastic and comes out of nowhere, like comes naturally, but like just comes out of nowhere. You're like, holy crap, like now I'm doing this, and you kind of don't really know what you're meant to be doing for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
then you work it out.
Am I on drugs? Has Scarecrow come in and gotten me?
I like that it takes about 9 times of the Joker. 9 times of Scarecrow catching you to realize, oh wait, this is a little different.
That's
now
what I'm meant to be doing.
know.
I can't just fight him.
Yeah.
A bit of the gameplay. So the player can also use the detective vision, which was a big thing in this game. It was actually really good. It's a visual mode which provides contextual information, tinting the game world blue and highlighting interactive objects like destructible walls and removable grates. The number of enemies in an area and their status, such as their awareness of Batman's presence, and shows civilians and corpses. The mode is also used to follow footprints, investigate odors, and solve puzzles. Stealth was also a big part of this game with different types of silent takedowns, which were awesome. You could take down an enemy from above, from below in a grate or around corners. The detective mode was good, and I see they also used that in the Telltale series, which is kind of similar, and I think it's well used in that game too. But it was like, again, just another cool thing where you're playing an action game, pretty much, where you're fighting things. And it's like, okay, do some puzzles with this detective mode.
Yep.
Like, how'd they fit all this in a 10-hour game?
Because Paul Dini kept going off on his own little tangent.
Yeah.
And they had to rope him back.
Can we just like nerd out about the takedowns and how good it is to, from above on like a pole or a ceiling part, and you go down and you just like either take him out completely or you pick him up and tie him, and none of the other enemies, they're like, what? Where's Steve? Where did Steve go? Oh, it can't be Batman. It's probably a rat. Something like that. Yeah, like as well as the combat we talked about, the stealth takedowns were like, they were smooth.
Oh yeah.
I love this game. I'm going to stream it.
I want to believe that there we go, sounding all Fox Mulder there. I want to believe that the whole idea of the stealth takedown and the way they did it is once again the head nod to Assassin's Creed.
Yep.
I want to believe that that's them going, yeah. Much respect, much love.
Well, yeah, Assassin's Creed was one of the bigger games around the time they were making this too. So I know developers, they love to talk to each other. It's like none of them. It's not like none of them talk to each other. They're all talking. They're all swapping ideas.
Oh, they are.
I think like people think like developers and they're like, I'll keep my secrets. they're all talking. They're all like, hey, what are you doing over there? It's like, oh, we're doing this like fucking silent takedown shit, and someone's like, well, I can't actually see what you're doing, but I'm gonna use that idea and change a little bit and use it for myself, and
yeah, and then do it in such a way where it feels like I'm crediting you for
it.
Yeah.
Thanks, friend.
All I'm picturing right now is that copying the homework meme.
Yeah, just do a little bit different.
Yes.
I love that meme. It's so good. Some would say I'm copying Asylum's homework. I'm just doing a little bit different. I'm stealing everything he does. But I'll never do it as good as Asylum, everyone.
Okay, righto. I knew we had to come to that.
We had to come to that. It's like, what's a beard? Oh, that's a beard. Oh, damn it. I've been doing it wrong the whole time.
Hang on, I gotta start again.
No. I live, like, when was the last time you shaved?
Back in 18-7. My daughter was 1, so 5 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. I think the last time I properly shaved was like maybe 2012, 2013. Something like I'm no Asylum, but it gets bigger with every pirate I kill. That's how you get a big beard, guys. You kill pirates.
It's Samson's hair. Samson and Delilah.
I kind of want to shave like the whole thing just once. I want to remember what my chin looks like. But then I'm like, oh, I think I know what it looks like, and that's why I don't shave my beard.
My wife keeps bringing up pictures of me when I was in my I want to look like Aaron Barrett from Real Big Fish phase, and I had chops.
Oh.
I had the mutton chops going on, and I keep getting reminded what my chin looks like, and I don't like that.
Nope.
However, the thing that I'm reminded of the most when I cut my beard, or when I look back to pictures of myself with no beard, is the fact that I don't have a neck. and then I'm glad I've got a beard, because it covers up the fact that I don't have a neck.
Gives the illusion of neck.
Yeah, that's it.
Like people are watching you going, my God, that guy must have a really good neck if only I could see it. And you're like, yeah, imagine.
Somebody actually said that in my Twitch chat one day. They came in and said, what are you hiding under that beard? I said, the fact that I don't have a neck. And I don't know what happened. I have not seen that troll from that day to this, but I'm pretty sure they died laughing.
Some say he's still laughing.
Some say
he's just stuck in an infinite loop of laughter. He can't stop. It's like when someone gets the hiccups forever. It's like that.
Why am I just picturing that troll but turning into the Joker?
Oh.
And he's now sitting somewhere in a room writing ha 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 on a wall over and over.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
He's
exactly like tattooed himself, ha ha ha. Drawing necks for some reason. Beards with necks. Oh, this went on a tangent. So just to end the whole Batman discussion, why do you think this game had such an impact on you besides the obvious?
Besides the obvious.
Just say the obvious, I guess.
Besides the obvious fandom, yeah. As far as a game point of view, it had lots of different facets combined tastefully. It combined them very well. It didn't just put a lot of aspects in for the sake of putting a lot of aspects in. As you said, it tied many of them through so effortlessly that it was just poetry. The game itself became legend.
Yep.
By the way that it could tie with itself.
I can't disagree with that. And I think anyone who plays it, I mean, you're going to have a better time if you are a Batman fan, I think. But I feel like this game's so good that this game could probably turn you into a Batman fan. I think that's
I'd
just,
agree with that. I'd agree with that.
it's just, I mean, we've said it a million times. It just changed the game, like
It did.
literally.
It did.
And games like
was an
that only come
evolution.
along every now and again, and you just have to. And it's like wow, I was there when it came out, and I played it when it came out, or well, I was a few years later. But it's so cool that you play it at the right age, the right time in your life, and it's one of those things that stick with you forever, and you'll think about it when you're 80 years old. You're like, remember Batman Asylum?
I remember back in those days, and then your grandkids are helping you along. Come on, granddad.
They're like, what's Batman? You're like, what's this world turned into?
You don't know what Batman is? Who are you?
You're not my son. That conversation could have got weird. But this is going to take us into question time, where we ask the big questions. It's basically like a current affair or 60 minutes.
I like this. I like this.
The big question. So I got a two-parter for you because I wanted to, and it's my life.
Yep.
So what Batman story would you love to see done in live action? And also, is there a villain that may not be as big, but you would love to see in live action? Start with the first part.
Ooh. Okay, which story in live action? So we're talking movie at this point, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so like taking a story from like comics, cartoon, even video games, and turned into a live action movie starring Vin Diesel, I don't know, as Batman.
And Dwayne The Rock Johnson somewhere.
Something I don't want. Sorry, Vin.
And for some reason, John Cena.
Is it John Cena's Robin? Why is that costume fly? Okay, we're not gonna do this.
Yeah. No, I knew that joke was coming.
I love those. Those memes are so good. Anyway, back to the relevant question.
Back to this one. I want to see Hush.
Yep.
I want to see Hush. I mean, Killing Joke, there's been plenty of references to as a whole or in part of its story. There's been plenty of them all the time, and I know there's a lot of diehard Batman fans that will say we need Killing Joke. I don't feel we need it. It would be nice, but I don't feel we need it.
I want it, don't need it. We got the cartoon, which was good, by the way.
Yes, we did. That was great. But Hush, if you were to go through and explore Hush a little more in a real life scenario, it brings in, I want to say, almost as many facets of the villains of Batman as Arkham Asylum does. Because a lot of them play minor roles, and yes, it's going to sound like my bias, but Riddler does play a very, very large role in the whole Hush scenario. But you get to see more of the psychological prowess of the writing of Batman coming to the forefront, instead of, as we've seen, a lot of them turn into the psychology is part of it, but there's also the badass, ass kickings that he's handing out all the time. So I want to see one that concentrates purely on the psychological side. So Hush would be my vote.
Yeah, and it's something that obviously we haven't really seen yet. I think they've dabbled in that kind of thing with different movies. Usually they go the obvious one with his parents dying and his psychological trauma with that. But to go past that and do something completely different with a bit of nuance, a bit of like detectiveness and all that stuff, I think it would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they do it or not, because it's and people are like, I want a Batman movie where he fights people, and
the movie going audience of today uses movie going as an escapism more than anything to think. So keeping it as big tough action hero is actually going to work into a better formula than that. Yeah,
they go where the money is, basically.
That's it. You either got to make the product that sells, or you're just pretty much crucifying yourself.
I would love to see, we touched on it before, and I sort of looked into it because I never heard of it, was Arkham Asylum, A Serious House, and Serious Earth. And I looked a bit into it, and it's a bit darker than the average Batman story, and it's got a bit more horror in it as well, which is something a little bit different. Also, a death in the family storyline, where they kind of hinted at that with Ben Affleck's Batman and the Robin suits.
Yes.
Now, I wrote down a little bit of a death in the family. I think it's a great moment in history, a comic book history, and I'm going to tell you why. So, Death in the Family was a pretty big deal back in the late 80s and features one of the most infamous deaths in all of comic book history. In 1988, the birth of our Lord Wilbur Sprinkle, DC announced that it would allow its readers to decide the fate of Jason Todd, the second Robin, by calling in a 900 number. Even though Jason wasn't a very popular Robin, nowhere near as beloved as Dick Grayson, who had moved on to become Nightwing, the vote on his fate was very close to the end. So people called in to vote on whether Jason Todd would die or not, and then the votes ended up with him dying. And
if I remember correctly, it was an overwhelming dying.
It was brutal by the hands of the Joker. And I've seen a bit of they've done it in like a cartoon movie. I can't remember which one. But imagine seeing that shit in like an R-rated Batman movie where the Robin dies.
Yep.
Like,
and then you just watch the breakdown of Batman live.
And they kind of hinted it with Ben Affleck, and I was like, ooh, are they going to go with this with a solo Batman movie? And I don't think it's ever going to happen now. But
no.
I was intrigued. I was like, oh, that'd be really cool. But I think what we're both saying is we kind of want something a little bit more adult, more serious, more psychological.
More brain instead of more testosterone.
Yeah, which maybe one day we'll get there. We'll see what happens with Robert Pattinson's Batman. I'm probably going to go on the side of they're probably not going to go down this route, but you know, a man can dream.
I'd like it to be that way, considering we're having Eddie as one of the main villains.
Oh, you're not wrong.
The Riddler is going to be a villain. This would be the ultimate opportunity to step into the realms of the psychology.
And it's going to be a serious Riddler.
Yes.
And it's like, you know what? I don't like this Riddler. What's Jim Carrey doing? He's got the suit.
Jim, can you get a haircut for us?
He's already got the haircut. He's been waiting by the phone.
He's sitting holding the outfit. He's just sitting by the phone.
His kids are like, oh my God, Dad, what are you doing?
Can you stop it?
I love Jim Carrey, so good. So is there a villain that may not be as big, but you would love to see in live action movie glory?
See, this one sort of ties into the first question of wanting to see more psychology. The villain that nobody knows about in a storyline that I would really like to see play out is Martha Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Because there is a story arc where at the pivotal moment that decided the story of Batman forever, where his parents are killed, there is a storyline where the gun is turned on Bruce, and Bruce dies.
Is that the Flashpoint?
Flashpoint, yes.
Yes.
And then Thomas and Martha become Batman and the Joker, and that is the little known villain that I would love to see would be Martha Wayne and the Joker.
What an answer, and I want that now. I want it. Imagine they make the movie, right? And they do all the trailers like new Batman movie, like Batman vs Joker or whatever, blah blah, and they just show like little snippets of like little like Batman in costume fighting. They don't show actual faces. Go see the movie, and it's the movie scene. They're in the alleyway, and old mate's saying, "Give me your fucking pearls" or whatever he says, and then he shoots Bruce. Like you're like, what? And then you watch the rest of the movie, and it's like, Thomas is Batman, Martha is the Joker, and for the rest of the 2 hours, your mouth is on the floor, dropped. I don't know. They would never do that. They'll never get away with that.
No.
But imagine having that kind of surprise, though.
And do it within the first 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's like the opening is the movie scene.
yeah, at the very introduction, hit the crowd in the face with "the boy dies," because that would just create the, collective in the audience.
Yep. Oh,
Which would be a really great point to be wearing a really nice cologne, because then, ooh, something like that.
okay, I'm gonna get Paul Dini on the phone now. We're gonna make this happen.
All right.
He has the ideas.
Start making some calls.
I have like $20. We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen. But yeah,
my God.
that ultimate twist of the Batman you know and love is now something else.
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. And I'm sad it's never gonna happen. Thanks a lot, Asylum. Ruined my life.
Or, you know what? If we're gonna go down the path of keep it safe and do action, Last Night on Earth, which is a very, very, very new sort of thing that's come out recently in the multiverse.
Oh yeah, never heard of it.
Very, very recent.
What's a little bit about it?
Definitely something you have to like. The character, even just the look and the feel of the character is a very, very refreshing change. Like, one scene that will constantly be etched into my mind is Batman, the Batman character, holding what looks like a lantern. So if you can think back to Sea of Thieves, a lantern, and it's got Joker's head in it.
I'm looking at the cover right now, and it's beautiful. I'm looking at the lantern. I've got a little the DC Comics site, and they have like a little preview.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm not gonna sit here and read it while we're doing a podcast. But just the cover alone, that's a beautiful cover. Like that shade of like red. The final days of the Dark Knight. Batman, the last night. I see what you did. I see what you did there, Batman.
Yeah.
The last chapter of the Batman saga. Okay, I'm gonna have to look more into that.
But then if you want to get cool and dive into it, have a look at the toy line that goes along with it.
Oh, okay. Let me have a look. Batman last night, because I wrote night wrong. I'm an idiot. Why didn't I think of that? Toys.
Yeah, I just sent you an Instagram link.
Have a look at this. Trojan. What? Oh! Is that Scarecrow? Who's the one on the right?
The one on the right?
Yeah, the far right.
I'll let you dig into it.
Oh.
See how I just baited you there?
McFarlane Toys. Whoa. Okay, that's sick. Wow. Okay, this whole episode, my mind is being blown. You know who I would like to see? I'm gonna do a safe-ish one.
Okay.
I would love to see Man-Bat in live action.
Yes.
Because that could be a very good supernatural, more horror kind of focus, where Man-Bat is just being a mad lad. You know what I mean? Just going around murdering things for no reason because he's a Man-Bat. Man, we're the same, because I kind of want something different too. So when I was thinking of my answer, I went to Calendar Man, and I would like to see Calendar Man, because I think they could do something cool like they did with Seven. So
yes.
Like an R-rated. I just want more R-rated comic book movies, like a very mature Seven-like detective movie with Calendar Man, and it'll be more sort of Bruce Wayne than Batman in a way. Like, still Batman. I guess you'd have to have Batman in there to do the detecting. Like Bruce Wayne's still like detecting a little bit or something like that. Like, I think that'd be really cool.
Detecting, I like it.
Also, speaking of McFarlane, just give us a new Spawn movie.
Do it already.
Like, like, because I'm a kid of the 90s, I loved that live action Spawn movie. I think it's fantastic. It hasn't aged well.
It hasn't, but you know what has aged well from the movie?
What?
The soundtrack.
Yeah, good. Pretty heavy.
The fact that they took a metal artist and an EDM artist, or a rock and EDM artist, and blended them together.
It's like, do it. Get in a room.
Mm-hmm. Get in a room, make a thing, and their child is glorious.
There's been rumors for like years now that they're working or trying to get a Spawn movie together, like an R-rated Spawn movie. I want to see it happen. I think Spawn's a great character. Cool abilities, very dark and brooding, and mate, I want so much stuff now that I'm probably never going to see because of this episode.
And we're going to spend the rest of our lives depressed because of it.
Yep, but you know what'll fix that? The KFC I'm going to get later.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's going to... It'll suppress the depression for about 15 minutes, and then...
Yep.
Like, well, I guess I better go play Sea of Thieves.
But I better go play Arkham Asylum.
I'm going to go murder some pirates. Make me feel better. But that's going to bring us to the end of this episode. And Asylum, it has been an absolute joy speaking with you today.
The pleasure is on my side of the table.
We'll definitely, I'll say we'll when I'm just a one-man operation. I'll definitely have to have you back. Maybe we can talk a little bit maybe about Bioshock, or
oh yes,
maybe a bit about Sega. We'll still see how we go with that. But tell everyone where they can find you on the internet.
So you'll predominantly find me on Twitch at obviously AsylumGC8, but if you follow that lineage through the rest of the socials, you'll land on me. So Instagram, Twitter is where I'm very predominant, and I've just crossed that line, and I've landed on the realm of TikTok.
Nice.
So if you look through AsylumGC8 on any of the socials, you'll find my hideous head.
And now we're just gonna try and get Asylum to do some TikTok dances.
No.
And then my life will be complete.
No, not because I can't dance, but because nobody wants to see that.
Oh, I'm sure there's at least 2 people. Me and your wife.
No, she doesn't want to see that.
Well, just me. So just
okay, fine.
Make it happen.
I'll look at one right now then.
I will put Asylum's social links in the descriptions below. You can find me at Twitter at Wilbur Sprinkle, twitch.tv/Wilbur Sprinkle. I stream games like Sea of Thieves, a little bit of variety. I'm planning on doing a Little Nightmares 2 playthrough next week, or whenever you hear this, probably last week whenever you hear this. And I kind of want to stream Arkham Asylum now, so I'm going to install that and try and fit it in somewhere. You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Wilbur Sprinkle, where I try and put some videos up. It's hard. It's hard doing YouTube sometimes. I kind of want to get like an editor, but you know, I don't have the money to afford a good one. This podcast will also be on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and it's on YouTube somewhere and all the major podcast players. But make sure you give us a nice 5-star review, because it helps with this little algorithm that's been going around on the podcasting thing. But everyone, thank you for listening yet again to us blabber on about the games we love. We will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.